lose my housing. All because the guidelines for Section 8 have changed since you know who got into office. They're saying that if you have a child that is school aged, meaning if you don't have to stay home with your child, you have to be able to obtain employment, have a full-time job, and you cannot be on Section 8 past 2 years unless you have a disability. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? God forbid I have the stress of being a single mother, right? I have to depend on the government to help pave my way, because it's really hard raising a child on your own when the government is pretty much your baby daddy, you know? You know you're going to get that check every single month. You know it's going to hit every single month, so you don't have to stress about it. And now, in 2 years, I'm not going to be able to use the government assistance that I need.
Your children are school age. And in my opinion, because she said, can we even believe this? I can absolutely believe it now, because I've been reviewing a lot of videos where there's a lot of people coming online complaining, and then they say that they're pregnant all of a sudden. So there's a lot of people complaining about the destitution of their situation, but yet they're pregnant currently. And they already have an exorbitant amount of kids. So now what this does is this tells us why. Because I didn't know about this particular fine print of the stipulation that states that basically one of the limiting factors, because we know that people with kids, they're not just going to kick people with small children out on the street. We don't do that here. But we see a lot of people getting pregnant all of a sudden. And now this explains why. Because if they were to get kicked off of Section 8, guess what? Even like if the timelines doesn't match up, let's say they do end up having another small child. But if that 2-year period expires, guess what happens? One, I don't think you'll even be eligible to apply anymore. But two, even if you try to apply, you just have to get right back to the back of the waiting list anyway. So that would explain why we see so many people who are newly pregnant, if this rule is true, because that would justify it. There's some people who would do that just to not lose their Section 8. They would have a whole nother being just to be able to continue to take advantage of the system and to continue to get those benefits.
That's great.
Pissed me off. Excuse my language. But watching, I had my kids back in like 2012. And yeah, I applied to Section 8. I applied, for food stamps. The only thing I got was food stamps. I couldn't get Section 8. So I'm like, the people that was on Section 8 was on Section 8 for like 30 years. And then I'm like, eventually one day it'll be our turn. No. They cut off food stamps, all that Section 8 stuff, gone. That is crazy. Like, I was waiting for my turn to be on there for 30 years. And I can't. Because y'all ruined it being on there for years. Bro.
And this morning, it's
How did they ruin it for being on there for years if that was your plan as well, to take advantage of it for 30 years? That's the same thing that you're sitting here complaining about, that other people ruined it. Again, there's people with these fickle philosophies who they don't really feel like people shouldn't abuse the system. They're just hating because they didn't get to abuse it. And to me, that's still bad character. Like, you're just mad you didn't get to exploit something, so that's why you're getting on other people. No, you don't get to jump over to this side and claim the moral high ground when you'd have took advantage of it if you could. And there's a lot of, we ignore this segment of people who are also upset with people on benefits, mainly Section 8. And the reason is that they're mainly upset and they're on the Section 8 waiting list, or they're mad at people with Section 8, is because there are so many people who've been on that waiting list for so long who haven't got an opportunity. And see, they would rather continue, because imagine you've been on the waiting list and by the time it's your turn, your kids get school age. So now you can't be on there for 2 years no more. That is a great rule. And see, that's going to have a lot of people stop waiting, because I see so many people who will keep waiting. And in my opinion, if you're waiting, then right now you're making it by just fine, right? You applied and said you needed subsidized housing, but you're still not on the street. And you're doing what you're supposed to do, getting by, however that may be, working 2 jobs, 3 jobs in order to make it. But then what happens when they actually call you up? You're going to quit your jobs so that you don't lose that? Or are people, while they're waiting, making sure that throughout that term period that they never earn, so that they can never flag on their tax returns and take them off the list? That's what I'm curious about.
So I'm not getting evicted yet. Okay, so basically, let me explain the story to you all, because I didn't explain it to you the other day, okay? So I'm in this position because I'm 2 months late on my rent. I owe 2 months of my rent, okay? So the letter that I got on Friday was telling me that I had 3 days, excluding the weekends, to pay my remaining balance in full, or I was getting kicked out. So also, I live in a slumlord location, okay? Like, the lady that gave me my keys last January gave me my keys, and I've never seen or heard from anyone ever again. I've never met anyone else. This girl's younger than me. I don't know if she's my landlord. I don't know nothing, okay? I only have her email, and that's it. And I've never talked to anybody, my mom said, because I've always paid my rent. True. Okay, so what's next? Hold on.
Why does that matter? Who do you have to meet? You have to meet the whole landlord family? It's probably a property manager that they pay. Your landlord might not even live in your state. That's what some real estate investors do. That's what most real estate investors do. There's property management companies that will basically look after the home and take care of all the responsibilities, and even when repairs need to get done. So why is that your concern? Especially when you ain't paid your rent in 2 months. Worried about all the wrong things. Hey, keep your main thing your main thing. You just prioritize paying your rent on time, and you're calling them slumlord landlords. Unless something is broken down and they haven't repaired it, they're doing their job. You do your job, which is just to pay your rent. And don't worry about you knowing the landlord. What?
So I emailed this girl. I sent her a long paragraph with 5 separate points. If I'm a couple $100 short on Wednesday, am I getting kicked out? Can I make a payment plan? My main concern was the credit. I am a spoiled, blessed, grateful, thankful person. Call me what you want. My dad co-signed me for my apartment. I have no credit. I've never had a credit card before. I needed a cosign. So that's been my whole concern this whole time. Not me getting kicked out. I don't give a about any of that. My dad's credit cannot get affected by this, okay? He's been in the Army for the past 26 years and he's retiring this year. That's why I've been freaking the okay? And also, my dad doesn't know anything about this, so if you know my dad in real life, please don't tell him any of this is going on. So that was my main concern. So whatever, I emailed the girl. She tells me I'm gonna forward it to the rent collector. I don't know who these people are. I'm like, okay, cool. The girl doesn't email me back for 24 hours. I'm freaking the so I sent her this, okay? She responds with one sentence and says, pay half of the balance by Wednesday. It's right here. Girl, why didn't you say that in the letter? I've been freaking the fuck.
See? Oh my goodness, man. Just leaving a wake up destruction everywhere you go. Because, first of all, how are you not going to tell the person whose credit might get affected that you could potentially get evicted? At that point, just tell your dad and maybe he'll loan you the money so his credit doesn't get affected. but you're going to take the risk of messing up his credit. And then on top of that, you see what she's tried to do, really. She really tried to, that's why they sent that one word or one sentence reply in the email. Because she was trying to get them ultimately to, she sent the 5 things like she said, and she wanted them to email something to where they agreed, right? And then she would have that proof. And then she could use it against them. You see how people will still be trying to like take advantage and still do their little slide little ways instead of just and that's why do you think she replied back so short? Just pay half your balance by Wednesday. Funny enough, I still don't think that would stick in court. I think they're just trying to get some money. And I think they can still do what they want to do because they didn't say pay half your balance by Wednesday or else XYZ. They just said pay half your balance by Wednesday. Because we want it. And see, my main thing is we need to start asking why more, right? She's focused on everything from pillar to post except the main issue, which is not having the rent. So when you're coming here and you're putting your little 5 stipulation email together, all this, no, we need to put it back on you. Why don't you have 2 months rent? Because for me, two is too close to 3. 2 can turn into 3 real quick. And then 3 can turn into 4 real quick. And then next thing you know, she's just like, I ain't paying no rent, just evict me. And she done been stacking all her bread this whole time. So why can't we just do what we need to do? And that's what we need to ask. Like, why aren't you just doing what you agreed to do? And now you're trying to put it back on me. Like, this is my responsibility to try to work something out. So let's leave it there, y'all. Like the video. Also subscribe if you want to join the Limitless Legion. And also feel free to join the Patreon. It's linked below if you want to see some of the self-improvement content I have on there. Until then, I'll catch you in the next video.